We have Crooklyn, and the cast goes Delroy Lindo, Alfred Woodard, Zelda Harris, and Spike Lee had a cameo as Junkie. And we have a plot synopsis of as her teacher mother, Carolyn, and her jazz musician father, Woody, worry over monthly bills, grade schooler student Troy Carmichael banters and bonds with her four brothers. Against her will, Troy is sent to her aunt's southern home for a summer visit. But when she returns to her bustling Brooklyn neighborhood, she learns that a family member is gravely ill. Already mature, Troy is forced to face some very grown-up facts about life and loss. That plot synopsis gave the whole movie away. So, uh, like that left nothing on the
Uh,
bone.
right.
All right. First observation is these people were poor as fuck. Like, oh my God. I was like, they were like, it was like splitting one rotisserie chicken seven ways, and
Oh
like
yeah.
there was like kids outside
Watching them eat
watching
like
them
it was
eat.
like a buffet.
Like, it was like, oh, they have corn. It's like,
They
damn.
get that kid was like, damn, they got mashed potatoes.
You know, um, that's something we don't get a lot of credit for as like as a country as far as growth is that like we more or less abolished food insecurity. Like
Mhm.
even like our homeless people aren't actually hungry. Like this is something in our life. I mean, I guess the 70s weren't our lifetime, but like
Right.
the concept of like actual hunger, like true food insecurity, not to say
Mhm.
it's 0%, but the
Right.
overwhelming majority of American citizens have access to abundant food. So that's good. That's a good thing. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, starvation is bad. Um, in that same note, forcing kids to eat things they don't like is a good way to start eating disorders. And black eyed peas are disgusting.
Or they're disgusting. That's like the first. That's like one of my first notes. Black eyed peas are disgusting, and I would have thrown them up on the table too.
and they're poor food because they're very calorically dense, and
Yeah.
a little bit goes a long way, and you can feed a large family with them. But they
Yeah.
are. I have not had them in 25 years
I've
probably.
had them like three times my whole life.
Yeah, I had them as a kid because New Year's Day greens
New
and
Year's, yeah, greens
black eyed
and
peas.
black eyed peas.
The woman I spent New Year's Eve with last year made greens and black eyed peas, and I just had to kindly break it to her that I'm not eating this.
I don't give a fuck how this year goes.
Yeah, like I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in any of that stuff. And so the greens were lovely. The evening was great. I appreciated bringing in the new year with you, but I will not be eating those black eyed peas. So anyways, what you got?
Uh, Side note, funny story about New Year's. I was at a, well, you know the party I was at, but I
Correct.
was culturally outnumbered, and I had to have I had to have a friend. I was like, I literally pulled one of our friends to the side. I was like, "Excuse me, can you explain what this is?" Because I didn't know what anything was on that table.
Oh,
I was like, "What is this
what the
stuff?"
fuck what they have? Like, isn't it just
It
finger
was,
food?
it wasn't, well, some of it, yeah, it was good. It wasn't like it was bad or anything. It looked different than what we're accustomed to. So like it was like someone made like a southwestern pasta salad, which actually was decent. And then also a lot of it was like, uh like Italian food. So, it was a
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
um it wasn't shit you see at like Olive Garden, you know what I'm saying? So
Well, yeah.
and then there was like a really good brisket and shit. The food was great, but I just had to tell you that story real quick.
Yeah. I got you.
But yeah, but my first observation is I think we always talk about like movies now versus 10, 20, 15, 30 years ago. I think one big thing that I love about this movie is it has so much like not to no pun intended, so much soul. Like
Yeah.
there are few movies that have as much soul and as much heart as this. That's one thing you notice right away. Like just like you can like when you eat good food, someone like put love into it. We say that
Right.
all the time in our culture, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. And like Spike Lee put so much love, well, and him and his siblings, they all co-wrote the movie together. Well, three of them, two of them co-wrote the movie with him. They put so much love into the movie that it just bleeds through the screen, especially in that opening sequence where, you got the kids playing stickball and, they're doing double dutch and, doing all the, any, meeny, miny, mo and all the games we used to play growing up and stuff like that. Uh, that's the first thing that just jumps out at me when I whenever I go back and watch the movie.
It's a very lived in space. Like it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like, if you watch some movies and it's almost like you can feel the cameras in on the set, but it really
Hmm.
does feel like you were dropped in with a bird's eye view of a real neighborhood.
Yeah.
Back to the people in the background, the Mexican guy, the singer, the
Hmm.
crazy the crazy gay dude with the dogs,
Yeah, yeah.
um, the random single
The
neighbor,
the
it just
bodega.
the bodega, the stealing from the bodega, everyone's your mama because he was talking to them kids crazy at the bodega.
Yep.
Just a very lived in space.
Hmm.
It's set in the 70s, but you know, I guess it came out in the 90s, but
Yeah.
obviously I wasn't around in the 70s, but it just felt you could tell it was a life, you could tell it was his story.
Correct.
It just yeah, I agree. It was a very, very culturally resonant backdrop movie.
Hmm.
Um, the brownstones,
Yep.
the fact that there were no cars. You
Right.
rarely saw cars. The kids could just play in the street.
Hmm.
There was very little adult supervision. They're all latchkey kids because you had a bunch of kids and you just knew that they were safe in those neighborhoods, pre-crack epidemic. But which
Right.
we'll get to that at the next movie.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it was a simpler time. Because I mean, everyone there was in just abject poverty, but you didn't feel it. I mean, you felt it.
Yeah.
The kids didn't feel it. The parents did, and we'll get to that later.
Right.
But yeah, it felt very lived in. It felt very real, and it was just it was nice. It was a time before, not to get all old man, but like no one was on their cell phones, no one was recording anything. It just felt like the kids
Yeah.
are just kids, and yeah, like even the teenage kids, they were teenagers, and I just feel like we're
Yeah.
sort of losing that youthful energy
Hmm.
in modern society. So I will concur with that. So my first
Agreed.
question, or you go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
How many kids did they have?
5.
Wrong. Caroline had six children because her husband was a man child. Uh, um, this nigga, man, like
It's funny because actually I have a question about him too. I was going to ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
he was just she had six children. He
No, she did. She did. She was doing it by herself.
doing it by herself. He's bouncing checks. He doesn't want to. Nigga, get a job. You don't get to chase your dreams with five hungry children in the house. That's not how
Correct.
this works.
Correct.
I imagine
At
he's in his 30s in the movie. Niggas looked
hmm.
old back then, so he's
Right.
probably mid 30s. People had their children young, so
Yeah.
he looked in his 50s, but I'm sure the character was in his 30s.
Right.
And look, I get it, but you don't get to chase your dreams anymore when you got five kids to feed. You're not a child. You
Right.
need to go down to the post office to see who's hired.
Correct. Or at the very least, if you're gonna do music, do the shit that's gonna make money, bro. Like we all love classical piano and it's
yeah,
great, but if you were making money at one point and you stopped and that's what caused the poverty in your family, you need to go back to doing what the fuck you was making
you
money
need to
doing.
go make some money. And it's funny though because like it's the same it's the same complaints over and over again because he's complaining about the shy lights that they don't make real music and he's like keying at a piano and
Yeah.
my parents listen to my music and it was like they don't make it like the shy lights and then and now I'm like listening to these terrible rappers like they didn't make it like Tupac and Biggie. And it's just I did find that funny how he's just like I think a Shy Light song comes on. He's like, this ain't music. They don't even play it. This is piano. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, it really never changes. It really is
It
just
no,
every
it really doesn't. Even like he was like that rock and roll ain't gonna last.
yeah. All that shit lasts. Yeah, it's just the music that you listen to during your formative years will always be the best music to you.
Correct.
Everything you listen to it's not a coincidence that every generation thinks the best music was made between 13 and 22, between age 13 and 22.
Right.
Like that's the music you
Sa
listen to in college, the music you listen to with your first
hmm.
girlfriend, the music you listen to when you got your first car. All of that
Yep.
shit's gonna hold an emotional tug on you forever, and it's
Right.
never gonna hit like that again.
Same thing
Um,
with sports. The athletes you watch when you were 12, they're
correct.
going to be better than the ones you watch when you're 40. You know what I
I've been
mean?
wearing the same nigga shoes for 30 years. And it's just never going to change. I will be 50 wearing his shoes, and I'm never going to wear a pair of Zions. I'm never going to buy a pair of Edward. I like the AE ones,
Yeah, the
but I'm
A's are
just
tough.
not wearing some 22-year-old shoe. I'm 36 years old. Like I'm just not. Like I have a rule. I don't wear shoes of athletes younger than me. So my cutoff was Kevin Durant. I had some KD nines that I used to hoop in before I had to
Hmm.
retire, pick up basketball. But like LeBron's my age, I wear his. Well, he's older than me. I wear his stuff. Kevin Durant's my age, I wear their stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're pushing it with Kyrie. I think he's your age,
Yeah,
which
he got
I'd
yeah,
let that slide.
he got some cold shoes though. He got some cold shoes.
I'd let that
I might
slide.
the new
But
ones he got, they're pretty tough. I might cop those.
I'm not wearing no damn Zion Williamsons. He's a child to me.
No, for sure. And also
Like,
they clearly don't work.
no, no. I think he's dogging it. I don't like. There's just
No,
no way he's
I
gonna.
know. Yeah.
Just bullshit. So yeah, that was my first question was just how many children she had. I
Well,
always
actually
feel,
seven, including the dog.
yeah, well, they didn't take care of that damn dog.
They,
They did not take care of that dog.
yeah, any
It's so
dog
funny.
biting pound cake off a table is not being fed.
No, that's another way that American society has gotten richer, just how much more people spend income they spend on their pets. Like
Hmm.
even it used to, I remember when I was a kid, like spending $1,000 on your dog for whatever vet bill was just something
Hmm.
like the crazy lady that lived in the house up the street did.
Right.
And now that's just
You have
normal.
to. You have to.
Like,
Like,
and like
if you want your
that,
dog to live past five, you're
I remember there was a time where someone would like be sort of ashamed to say, like, yeah, the surgery was $800 for Fido. And like, no, that's just I took bumps to the vet 2 years ago, and he charged me $300 for someone to tell me he had a stomach ache. Like it was just like I was a
yeah,
we basically called she basically called me a helicopter parent. Um, and so I just remember when that was what crazy people did, and
yeah.
another sign of society, American society getting richer. But no, I mean, I always feel for someone has to be responsible and he gets to be fun dad coming home with ice cream and cake and
Right.
he don't have to eat the peas and let him watch the game and da 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 da. And it's just like this poor woman has 6 children because
Yeah.
parents have to be a unit. You cannot have a case where the kids are trying to watch the game upstairs, and I think she was being unreasonable. You should let him watch the finals, fine,
Yeah.
but whatever, your wife makes a decision, you cannot come upstairs and go
And undermine
overrule,
her
yeah, and just undermine her
in front of
decision
the kids.
in front of the children. Like parents have to be a unified front. They cannot you
Right.
cannot let the kids know that it's a parlor game between you two.
Right.
And I just feel like he was a terrible I'm not gonna call him a bad father because I feel like he
Yeah.
was good to the children, but he was a
He was
terrible
a bad
husband.
provider. He was a bad
Bad, well, he
provider.
was a non-existent provider.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
He
yeah,
was a he's a bad
yeah.
husband.
And that's actually something I think we don't talk about enough is you can be a good husband and a bad father, and you can be a bad father. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And like I think, but I also think being a good father is part of being a good husband. Like
correct. I
people
don't think
separate
you
the
can
two.
be a good father without being a good husband. Because
Right.
if the mother of your children, well, if your wife and the mother of your children is unwell because she's
Right.
carrying all of this, and you get to just show up with ice cream and cake.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, kids like fun, you know.
Right.
So of course, I mean, the kids approve of you because they don't see those overdraft bills, you know. They don't
Right.
see, you
They don't
know,
know why the lights got cut off.
and the selfishness it borns out to the children too, like making your kid miss tickets to Game 7 of the NBA Finals to watch you play
Dude,
piano in front of 12 people. Like
and
that
are we
is
going
an
to talk about how
astonishing
expensive?
amount of selfishness. Like,
No, seriously.
like
And it's the Knicks. They're never going to win another championship again.
no, this that was a Willis Reed game.
Yeah.
And it's just
73.
yeah, and it's just like I
And
just
those
could
tickets
never.
probably, how much
What'd
do
you
you think
say?
those tickets cost? Like,
Nothing. I mean, for them it was a lot, but back then
right.
regular people could go to games.
True, true, true.
Um, I remember I saw a pay stub on Twitter. It was like 87 Eddie Murphy. I mean, this is
Hmm.
peak Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, yeah,
And
raw
the ticket
delirious.
was like $41 adjusted for
No,
inflation. That'd have
you
been
know
like
what?
78 bucks.
Yeah, you know what? You're
Um,
right. That's true.
and like what would it cost to see Kevin Hart today? $400?
It's easy, easy.
Like,
And
for
that's if you get the
nosebleeds.
shitty seats.
And like he wasn't even as famous as Eddie Murphy. It used to be going to
Right.
shows used to be a working class thing that people
That's
did.
true. That's true.
Um, but no, I mean, I just could not. And that's just I could never. I don't like knowing your son is the biggest Knicks fan and they're in the
Bro,
NBA
I would never
Finals.
talk to my dad again.
You just
If
had
I
to whoop
miss,
my ass. Like
yeah, no facts, bro. I was listen.
like,
If I had tickets to Game 7 Cavs Warriors,
yeah,
and you made me miss it to go to like an engineering conference or some shit, what?
And it's like 12 niggas there. You basically it's take your child to work day. You're at
It's
work.
right. It's literally
Like,
your family, and like it was like two white people.
yeah, it was a massive flop.
Yeah,
I mean, I
we got
listen,
cake and ice cream, bitch.
I'd have jumped out the window and just dealt with the consequences when I came home.
Yeah, man, for real.
I did that in middle school. I think I was in the seventh grade chasing some girls over. There was the bad part of the city of Minneapolis is
Hmm.
called North Minneapolis, and the neighborhood, me and my boy Quincy and my boy Rudy, we just there was this house party, man, and the girls was
Hmm.
bad. And we was catching the bus because obviously it was middle school, we weren't driving. So we caught
Right.
the bus to a terrible neighborhood at like 11 o'clock at night. And I just dealt with the consequences when I got home. Was it worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he
Yeah,
just,
I would have taken that ass whooping.
yeah, of
Definitely.
course.
Yeah, like it. Shit.
I just think that he's just, as another question I had later on was who's the villain of the movie? I think it was Delroy Lindo. I forget his name and actually his character's name, but
Yeah,
it just,
I could never remember his name either.
he just, I just felt so bad for Caroline the whole time. She was the only adult amongst chaos. She probably didn't even have her own bathroom. She's sharing a bathroom with
Right.
five boys. Um, it just she's the only one with a job. He's dude's trying to
Hmm.
play a piano. He refuses to even work part-time for anything. She's trying to be
Hmm.
reasonable because I mean this is the father of her five children, and he just won't grow up. He's just a child. He's her sixth child. Um, and so that was just watching it as an adult. That was my biggest takeaway. It's just how much he came short as a man.
Yeah, because as a kid, you watch it and you're like, damn, she's mean as hell. Like,
Yeah,
when you
mom
grow up, you're like,
tripping.
she is tired and overstimulated.
She's working all day. The movie doesn't show her go to work, but I'm sure she's getting up at the crack of dawn.
Correct.
Um, these, yeah, like, all these kids. I mean, the oldest is like no help.
Right.
You have one daughter, and the daughter, you're trying to impart, you got to get special time for the one daughter in the house,
Right.
and then you come home and your husband's clickety clacking on a piano for and bouncing checks, and
It,
and he got the nerve to
yeah.
have an attitude about it, like I don't have no peace and quiet in here, nigga. What?
I want some respect and this, get your shit and get out.
I don't, I mean, it's just insane to me. Lights cut off and shit, and you still won't get a job.
Yeah, bro, that's
I
crazy.
just could not imagine me unemployed and my lights are cut off. And like, this is the 70s, man. And you need no degree. And you could just literally go down to the damn factory and they
And get a
you
job.
get a
And
job.
New York.
Yeah, it's just train operator something, man. You need a job.
Yeah.
You need a
Cab
job.
driver.
You can chase your dreams after you clock out. I
Right.
mean, and you
Shit,
clock out
you
and
could
the
have,
kids are situated.
right. You could have gotten a fucking job playing at a fucking piano bar or cocktail bar,
a-
anything.
anything to help out, man. Your wife is drowning. Um,
Yeah.
she's drowning. She's trying to be diplomatic about it, but this woman is drowning, trying to keep this house afloat. And it's just she's falling apart because she doesn't have a capable partner. So
Correct.
that was two of my questions. What you got?
Um, what was the best summer break you had growing up? Oh, you got me?
Yeah, I got you. I'm just thinking.
Oh, okay.
Probably the summer between 10th and 11th grade, because that's when I had my first high school girlfriend.
Hmm.
And like it was just, you get your license, you're moving around. I got my girl. Um, yeah, I would say summer between 10th and 11th grade, because that I had my little this might have been 11th and 12th grade, because I had my little part-time job at Sweet Taste of Italy, slanging pasta. And your high school girlfriend, your license, I had my little what was it? Pontiac Grand Am,
Yeah,
2004, 2002.
those were nice.
Yeah, G6, NLS 240 was the license plate. Those tinted windows, cops harassed the fuck out of me all the time. Uh, but it was a
Yeah.
good time. I would say that. How about you?
Um, I, I think it was a summer between sixth and seventh grade, I want to say. It was the first time we were ever able to go to like a summer camp.
Yeah.
So, it was a like Monday through Friday. We weren't like it wasn't like spend the night camp. It was like during school time, pretty what would have been school time. And we go to this camp. It was at this like refurbished like mansion or like big house in Durham. It turned into like this dope camp. We like do some schoolwork during the day, whatever. Then we do like fun shit, and we go to the movies on Fridays. We go swimming like once or twice a week, and like different cool shit like that. When you're like 10, 11, that's like the best shit ever.
Yeah.
See, I think that was probably and it was like me, my brother, and my sister. Um, my baby sister, I think she was in like she would have been 3 or 4, so she probably would have been in daycare at the time or pre-K, whatever. Um, but yeah, I think that was probably one of the best summers ever.
One,
And my
you're the
dad
oldest,
was working
right?
in Durham at the time. Yeah.
Okay. And two, summer pools. Does Raleigh have a public pool for kids to swim during summer?
I don't
I feel like we've
like
quietly
so the neighborhood we grew
privatized
up in.
pools and no one said anything
No,
about it.
we'd really no. Yeah, so when we grown up in Cary, when we moved to Cary, we didn't our neighborhood didn't have a pool, and we'd like go to like a random public pool in Raleigh,
That's what I mean.
like
Like we
somewhere. Like my dad would just yes.
ours was called
I don't
Crystal
know if those
Pool.
exist very much.
It was like $3 to get in. That probably just paid for the lifeguards. And
Uh,
you, it was just kids just swam all day. And the parents could just drop your kids off
yeah,
at the pool with a couple dollars for nachos. They had a little nacho stand.
right.
And I
You
mean,
know,
they had a couple bodyguards, lifeguards, and you just, you
yeah,
know,
that's a good
tired the kids
question.
out. Do they
I don't
still have
think
public
so.
pools?
Every pool I see when I drive by is like there's no water in it, so I don't know if they exist anymore.
I mean, part of it is I'm not a child anymore, but all I know are the
Right.
private pools, people's apartments, people's
Yeah,
homes,
people's
people's,
neighborhoods.
yeah,
Yeah, I
like,
don't
but
know
that's all
any.
gated. And I'm talking about drop your kid
Yeah,
$3 cover charge, and that's just to pay for the maintenance and the lifeguard. They're not making any money. They're just paying
yeah.
cost, and
Mhm.
the kids can just swim all damn day.
Yeah, I really think they might have like not discontinued, but I can't remember. You know what? I mean, I've probably been driving around like some random part of Raleigh and seen a pool with kids, like something like
Yeah.
that. But as far as like,
But is it a
okay, this is where you
public
go,
pool? Like,
it looked like one.
yeah. Well,
I mean, I was driving, so I couldn't be like,
yeah.
hey, can I jump in
I
here?
mean, I see apartment pools full of kids, but those are private.
True.
I'm
Yeah.
talking anybody with when Crystal Pool, anybody with $3 is getting in there, and we
Well,
had a
yeah, I
ball,
think
man.
so because it just had like the fence around it. It wasn't like
Yeah,
a, gated thing. So I would assume that that was a private pool. But yeah, you don't really see much of them anymore, honestly, now that I think about it.
that was shit. All we did all summer, man. We just
Yeah.
we maybe grab a little basketball hoop, play a little water basketball, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's what you did with kid. Wear it out. Someone threw something on the grill, and that's what you did all summer.
Yeah. I think so the neighborhood before we moved to the one we have now where that does have a pool, there was like a kid, like if one of your friends had a pool, like you had a pool, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like somebody had like their dad put in like an in-ground pool in their like deck or whatever. So we used that. But other than that, yeah, we'd have to go like to a public pool, or we'd either go to like Pullen Park,
Yeah.
the Olympic pool there, to swim and stuff. Yeah, that's a
I
good question. I never even thought about that. I feel like they all disappeared. Like, and no one said anything.
I bet you there's a book about it. I probably could find a book about it.
Probably.
I know Tracy McMillan Cotton did a podcast about it. I'll add that to my list. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that my best summer was between 10th and 11th grade, or 11th and 12th grade. I'd have to actually sit back and hash out what specifically what it was.
Yeah.
Uh, damn, I went through a lot of my stuff fast. I just have a like closing question.
Okay. I got a lot of
But
stuff left, so we're
all
good.
right, let's go. Go for it.
Um, what were some of the commonalities between your family and the family in the movie?
Uh, dad responsible one, I'm sorry, mom responsible one, dad the fun parent. Um, one daughter. So my so I am the baby of the family. So my brother is 11 years older than me. My sister's 8 years older than me. And so yeah, so I don't I forget one of my gripes with the movie is that there's three characters in the whole movie. Troy, the mom and the dad, and like everyone else is just stock people. Like it's
Yeah,
just
they're
you
just
just
like supplementary
the
parts.
oldest kid had some personality, some back. I know he was a Knicks fan, and I know
Yeah,
that he was immature for his age and just did not want the responsibilities of being the oldest child.
yeah,
Which I do sort of empathize with oldest kids happen to be pseudo parents.
right.
But you know, I okay, so four character, three and a half. But
Three
that was one of my
impossible.
biggest issues with the movie. I got to the end of the movie, and when I was typing out the cast, I'm like, all of these people are just nameless and faceless.
No,
There's
facts.
really just three characters in this entire movie. Um, so no, I mean the family dynamics were kind of similar. We did not have a big house. We had um a very, very old house at the corner, 4308 Region Avenue North, Robbinsdale, Minnesota. And I was the youngest, and there was one girl, and there was the oldest brother who, when you're 21 and your oldest, your siblings, when you're 21, when I'm 10 and my sisters are 18 and 21, it's kind of the
Yeah,
similar dynamic where I'm the baby of the family, and I was like the baby
right.
of Crooklyn, kind of like nameless, faceless. And so you know, yeah, I just kind of, I guess I would say those are the through lines is that it was kind of like the mom was the responsible one, the dad was the fun one. The one girl got, the one-on-one connection with the mother, and me
Hmm.
as like the youngest kind of ended up being nameless and faceless because you just learn,
Yeah,
like there's a lot going on when you're managing a large home, and by the time you have your, and I was also a gap baby, and so by the time you have your
right.
youngest, all that
Yeah, all
helicopter
the energy is
parenting,
gone.
yeah, you just kind of like, man, I started staying home alone when I was like 9.
Yeah.
I was a latchkey kid. I get out of school at 2:30, 2:40, whatever school let
Hmm.
out, and parents don't get out of work till 5 o'clock, so I just walked and had a key and learned how to make noodles and make a baked potato, and that's, I guess it instilled all the independence that I have today because I do everything solo now. So,
Hmm.
um, and obviously, like I'm not antisocial, but
Right.
so I don't really, you know, so yeah, that's to answer your question. The through lines are that similar dynamic amongst the parents, although like my dad worked. Did not just abandon his responsibilities as a father. And we didn't. I mean, we there was no like food scarcity or anything like that. But
Right.
yeah. So how about you?
Um, yeah, I mean, some similarities. My family, especially like more so on my dad's side, is like super chaotic, so I definitely relate to that. Um, I think my parents were like they were both very like, you know, disciplined and disciplinarians, but they also were both very fun. So it wasn't like my mom would say no and my dad would say yes type thing. That dynamic didn't really exist. If we want to do something, if we asked our mom, because she was usually more laid back than him, my dad, she'd be like, ask your dad, and we'd be like, well, that's a no. Um, let's see what else I'm trying to think. We didn't have any. We had a couple pets growing up, but nothing like a crazy dog. Um, we had a lot. Growing up, we lived with like a lot of. Well, we had a lot of extended family close by. Up until like I think I was like 6 or 7, we lived at different points with different family members. Maybe we had like an aunt and uncle stay with us, or vice versa. Or at one point growing up, I lived with my great grandma with my parents, stuff like that. So growing up with like a lot of people in the house was something that was very normal to me. Um, Traveling for summers, to stay with relatives, we did that a lot. But other than that, it wasn't too similar. I mean, we at one point weren't always like financially stable, but it was never as bad as I don't, at least as far as I know or could tell,
Right.
it was never as bad as it was for them in the movie. Um, yeah, I'd say that's about as far as it goes for us. Um, but I
We
still got
did
some
also
observations if you want to work. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say we did move my granny in high school. And so,
Okay,
until she, I mean, well, middle school, she died when I was in ninth grade. So,
got you.
so I'm also multi-generational, although they weren't in that movie, but you get what I'm saying.
Right, I
So,
feel you.
what were you saying?
Um, yeah, so I just got some observations and then I got like two questions for you.
Sure.
So I love that to me this movie is basically a love letter to the city of Brooklyn, which I think is super dope.
Yeah.
So we don't, I mean, I think the one thing I love most about black filmmakers, um, is that they always focus on like the regions that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
They don't, which can be a bad thing too. But they very much have an area expertise and familiarity with the environments that they capture, which I think is super dope. I think that's part of what makes Scorsese so great because he does what he does and he does,
Right.
he stays to his lane pretty much in the area and culture that he's familiar with. And if he doesn't, he does his fucking research. Um, I think one scene that definitely brought back a lot of memories was when they were supposed to clean up the kitchen
Oh
and
my
the mom
God.
came
I
and the
think I
mom
got
woke him up with,
PTSD like a
yeah, dog.
motherfucker.
Listen, we woken up with many ass whoopings
I
for
mean,
cleaning, needing to clean up and shit like that.
with good reason too. Because motherfucker, if I work 8 hours and then come home and cook, the very least you could do is wash
Is
the
put the
damn
food up,
dishes,
or at
man.
least put the food up. Yeah,
Like, no, we going to bed with a dirty kitchen is just
that was suicide.
unfathomable.
That was suicide.
Like, to this day, like, I when I finished cooking, I set a timer on the stove for like 45 minutes, let the food cool down, whatever, and put
Yeah,
it up, and I clean the kitchen. I can't get comfortable into my couch to watch whatever I'm watching until, the kitchen is clean, the garbage is taken out, the counters are
yeah.
wiped. It's just, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a universal black experience. You're not going to sleep with a dirty kitchen. That's
Hell
like,
no.
no, like that is a no-go, no-go. Nah, that's
Nah.
funny. I forgot about that because she definitely told them I'm leaving to do
Clean that.
whatever they got to do. I think it was a little date
Yep.
night situation.
Yeah, something like that.
Hey,
Yeah.
y'all got to clean. Like the
Clean this
very
kitchen.
least you could do, as hard as I work, like, and we ain't had no dishwasher either. You was hand busting them
Yeah,
suds,
yeah.
and you had to dry them and she wanted them put up, dried, the whole nine. Wasn't no leave them out to air dry. Nah, man, you gotta
We
dry them joints.
they were cool with us putting them in the but leaving them in the dish rack, but yeah, we had to wash some dishes.
Nah, them
Um,
joints had to be put up unless it was like a pot that needed to soak.
yeah,
Uh, nah, it needed to. You need to have the oven light on before anyone got comfortable.
it's funny because that was like for whatever reason that was the one task as a kid I always hated doing the worst. Well, that and laundry, was washing dishes. I would do anything to get out of washing dishes. I think like I would like just overuse detergent so that way if we were out we'd have to wait a day or two before we had to wash the dishes. I think at one point I would like secretly throw dishes away, but they found that out.
And so, like, my responsibility, well, that too, but I had to clean the bathroom Saturday morning before I could like
Hmm.
go outside Saturday during the afternoon. And
Yeah,
you'd have thought I was in San Quentin how I hated that shit. Like it was like it felt like
slavery.
slavery, man. To get up early on a Saturday morning, it's your first day off of school.
Right.
And before I could turn the game on, before I could call
Hmm.
up nobody, before I could go out to the park, I had a basketball hoop in my yard. So before I could go anything, the bathroom had to be clean and situated and not half-assed. And that was my
Yeah.
one thing that I had to do. And I fucking hate it. To this day, I hate cleaning the bathroom. Like,
No, I don't like it either.
I just I do it because I'm a grown up,
You were
but it's
adults. Yeah.
it's literally my least favorite task. I don't mind folding laundry. Um, I got a pile of laundry that I usually fold Tuesday nights, but we moved the
Mm.
podcast up half an hour. And tomorrow I have a 2.5 hour meeting that I'll just put the shit on mute and fold it during that. But
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I wash dishes. I cook and wash dishes every day. It's like breathing air to me.
Mm.
And anything like that is cool. But that cleaning the bathroom with that fucking comet and then that smell gets all on you and
Right.
scrubbing that fucking the side of the tub and
Yeah. I hate it so much.
that shit, honest to God, I wanted to run away. I swear to God, you would have thought I was so dramatic about it, man. I hated that shit. That was
No,
part of the
that
reason I mean, I'm thinking like a teenager, so I'm like, when I get
Right,
my own
right,
place,
right.
I'll never do this again. When really, who's gonna clean it? Like, you
No,
know?
so my parents still give me shit about it to this day. Like I had this phrase I would use about whenever I grew up as a child. I told my family I was gonna have one plate, one cup, one bowl, one spoon, one fork, and one knife, so I didn't have to wash any dishes ever again. Which of course makes no sense because you got to wash them more. But
Yeah.
as an
Well,
8 year
I
old,
mean, I remember the girl I was dating. So I think I was like 18 or 19, and I was working at GameStop at the time.
mhm,
And I had made my little assistant manager at GameStop, and they paid me like $9 an hour.
right,
Um, and I just remember the girl I was dating at the time. And 19 to me is still a child, so this is funny. She
right,
was just like, she got into it with her mom, and she was like, "Well, Darius and I get our own place. He makes $9 an hour." Like that was we did, like saying that shit like it's real money. Like,
right.
I mean, no, it was, we had it way easier. All I had to do was clean the bathroom. For a while there in my one bedroom apartment, I had a cleaning service, but
Hmm.
I just never, I just never, when I moved, it kind of fell off and I just never rehired it. And it's just,
Yeah,
I don't mind it because I work remote. If it's slow, I can do it during the day. It's something to
true.
do, Friday before I get situated and go to the bar. I can crack a White Claw and just clean the crib, play a little Al Green, and don't kill me. Um,
Yeah,
so yes, that was my I remember cleaning that fucking bathroom. I hated it. And it was like my brother had moved out, so it was me, my sister, my mom, my pops, and my
hmm,
granny. And it was like it was a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom house. Back then, houses were built that way,
right.
and it was like I mean, it was just the worst. It was the fucking worst. I don't know how else to say it. I fucking hated cleaning that bathroom, man.
That was me with yard work, man. My dad, he'd be like, "Okay, y'all gotta, cut the grass and pull the weeds and rake the leaves and all that stuff, whatever." And we hated doing this. So we like lollygag. He'd be like, the longer you take it, the more stuff I'm gonna make you do.
It's
So
funny. I've never
whole
actually mowed a lawn.
Saturday.
I've never mowed a lawn.
Really?
My dad did it.
What?
He liked it. It was, I guess, well, when you got 6 people in a small house, mowing the lawn's your only peace and quiet.
That's true.
It was
That's
his
true.
solitude. He liked it. He liked mowing the lawn. Now, I raked a gang of leaves. I shoveled more snow than I ever want to shovel.
Yeah.
Cleaning the garage, we had this big ass like 2-car garage, and
Hmm.
it dust and bugs and whatever. So I would go out there
Right.
and clean that. But no, he wanted mowing the lawn for himself. I've never mowed a lawn in my life.
That's crazy.
No,
I've been cutting grass since I was like 10 or 11. It's funny, my mom actually likes doing it, which is pretty hilarious.
it looks peaceful.
Yeah, it is. Once you like, I'll just, plug in some music and, get to work. Um, yeah, I got a couple more observations. One of the best things about this movie to me was that it didn't bastardize childhood, like in the projects. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't just all like dreary and hopelessness and
they were
uh
happy.
and riots and fucking getting hosed by, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, they were happy.
the kids were happy. It's a movie, but like I don't know
Right.
if people that poor in the '70s, the kids would have a TV in their room. A little
True.
skeptical.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I'm sure some of them would have wanted second some nights, and the whole pound
Yeah.
cake thing was a little weird. Why don't you have enough? That was strange. But no, man, like you said, but the kids never the parents bear the brunt of the poverty.
Right.
The kids don't notice it until later when they
Right.
look back on things. But like,
Or if they know somebody who has more money.
yeah, or that too. But like the tender moments when it was just husband and wife, that's when the dreariness of the projects leaked out.
Right.
But they never let their kids feel it. And that's what
Yeah,
good
which I
parents
liked.
do. But
Correct.
yeah, I'm with you. Like it was a joyful movie. But back then, people just needed less. Um,
True.
Nowadays, you got to send your kids to summer camp. You got to put them in this enrichment program. You got to do that. Ain't no just playing jumping jacks all summer and, doing that. So like, is it for the better? I don't know. I don't have any children, but those kids looked happier than these kids do. You know, so
They have better social skills.
yeah, that's for sure. Uh,
Um, one thing I think was cool, and I because I hadn't seen the movie in full. Well, actually, no, I think I maybe watched it earlier this year with my family. That's like one of our favorite movies to watch together. Um, but I never realized this, but like, so when she goes down south to stay with her cousin, her aunt and uncle and her cousin, uh, Spike Lee changed the lens or the camera that they used. They changed to an anamorphic lens, which is why the picture looks kind of distorted. Like everything looks a little bit elongated, for the second
right
half of
over
the
my
movie.
head.
So they basically did that to just kind of show like a new life from a new perspective of Troy. Like it's
Yeah,
everything's a little more like, whoa, I'm out of place here type of thing. So I actually was doing some reading up on it. They actually had to put a disclaimer in movie theaters that that was intentional because people thought like the film was fucked up.
yeah. Well, it
Uh,
was low budget, but not that.
right, true. Yeah, I'm sure they were like, oh, I just paid $5 for this movie and the camera's not working.
My favorite was the
Um,
Southerners like, you sleep in these dirty asses.
she was like, "You sleep in these? Oh, I got to throw these away."
No, those are not it. I bet
Yo,
you they were filthy.
Ansong was a fucking scene stealer, yo.
Yeah, yeah.
She was great.
And her husband was just like, all right, what
Tired
you
of
want
that.
me
He was
tired of
tired
that?
of.
Like, but I mean, you look about like you look on it as an adult, and like I remember there was
Mhm.
this kid we went to high school with who was like, I mean, we didn't know it at the time, but like thinking back on it, he was obviously poor as shit because his clothes were all big as hell, they were all
Yeah.
dirty as hell. We used to call him a crackhead. It's like we had this terrible rumor that we caught him smoking crack in the bath. We were dickheads. And it was just now that I think about it, like he was just poor.
Now you
That's
think
all it
back,
was.
you feel terrible. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, I just remember how like
yeah.
hungry he was at lunch and how he would always get like double slices of pizza. And that was probably because it was only his only meal of the day.
Right.
Like you'd be surprised. I don't know how it is now. I mean, we're talking 20, I'm 36, so high school is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what the kids are now, but like back then it was not atypical for your meal at school for some classes of students that to be their only meal.
Right.
And thinking back on it, I know which ones it was.
Hmm.
Because I barely ate that shit because I had food at home. I hated that fucking school food. But I rarely ate school food because that shit was not it.
I got
Um,
lucky. Our school food was pretty good. We had like the little personal pan pizzas and stuff like that. Um, our
we had
school
all
food was
that. It
good.
just wasn't good. By
Oh,
the
I
time we
feel
got
you.
to high school, there was you could pay for like Cajun chicken sandwiches and fries and
Yeah,
shit, but
yeah,
that was
yeah.
extra.
Hmm.
It wasn't a regular school lunch, and of course, I
Right.
did that. So.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel you. No, it's funny because
We
like
really
I think
did used to make we really used to make
we
fun of
were
that
we were
kid.
terrible. Like it's funny because I like this the movie does show the cruelty of kids. Remember like
Yeah.
Troy be like, your mom's a hoe,
Yeah.
she's got three different kids or three different baby daddies, whatever. Like I remember in school I got in trouble one year. I'll never forget. I still feel terrible about it to this day. There was this kid named Jimmy in one of my classes, sweet kid, whatever, and he told us about some like stuff going on at home, and he was saying like social services would had to check on things to make sure everything was okay, da da da, whatever. I think it's more like financial stuff, not like abuse or anything. Um, and so we would joke around that like he was gonna go to an orphanage and be like Annie. So we would sing a Hard Knock Life. we would, we would, we'd sing it at the lunch table, just like in the movie.
You see the tweet all the time where people are like, what's something that makes no sense about society? And it's like, we will give people money to foster children instead of giving their parents the money.
Right.
And it's like, I hate to break it to you, but if child services are involved, it ain't just because the parents don't have any money. Like they don't, there are poor kids
No.
everywhere. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like
Well,
foster care is
that's what
not
he
just
was.
for,
Right. Well, I was
that.
12 and that's what he was telling us. So,
Well, I mean, I imagine
um,
that his problems ran deeper than money.
yeah, but so I still feel terrible about that to this day. But yeah, and I remember like I took the joke too far, whatever,
Yeah.
and I remember I got like ISS for like a week or something like that, for doing for going nuts with the jokes. But
I remember I mocked the,
yeah,
the gay dude on my birthday and got it's just it was like the one gay guy he talked with a lisp and I said something sideways about him, and I got in trouble for that. And it was my birthday, so I tried to talk him down. And I feel bad, man. That I don't even
Yeah,
know
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
happened to him, but I just, it was this was.
Yeah, kids are cruel, man, including us when we were kids.
I mean, also like it. Yeah, it was. We would. Yeah, I can't even justify it. That's terrible. Hope you're doing well.
Oh God. No, yeah, I feel you.
He
I'm
was
just running
just he
through.
was weird. It was weird.
No,
Like
I just was running.
it was like the old joke. Like we were playing ball, he was jumping rope. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, why are you different? Why do you talk like that? Yeah, that wasn't kind.
Yeah, that kid's okay, or that man is okay now.
I
What
hope
else?
so.
Uh, Troy's cousin Viola definitely killed that dog.
Yes, yes. Little psychopath in the making. She
Yeah,
definitely. Where'd they find it in the couch cushion?
yeah, and remember the it was a reclining couch or whatever when you
Yeah.
the pull out bed or whatever, and he popped out.
I just don't
Um,
like the dog didn't scream. The dog didn't squirm when it was like
yeah,
I think yeah,
that
I'm
was
with
crazy.
you. It was a homicide.
I almost wonder if she like strangled the dog and then put him in there.
I mean, she was adopted,
Yeah,
which I mean, very rarely do people in stable situations put their children up for adoption. So I imagine she comes
correct.
from a very rough whatever.
Hmm.
And so it wouldn't shock me if she had a little sociopathic tendencies. And choking a
And
dog is psycho is insane.
the aunt did love that dog more than she loved her.
Correct. Um,
Um, I actually went back and watched the scene a couple times, and if you go back and watch it, you can see her do this before the dog pops out of the couch.
yeah.
Like she reacts like, "Oh shit," before
Has
she
anyone
even
ever asked
pulls the.
Spike about that? Because I'm sure it's come up.
I don't know. I like if I ever meet Spike Lee, that's the first thing I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah. God, how much Spike's getting up there? Was he 80?
Yeah, he's like six, close to 80. It seems a little old. He might be 70, close to 70. Let me Google that.
Oh, let's see here. Spike Lee age. Spike Lee is oh
Yeah,
I
he's
s-
67.
all right.
You know what it is? Because he was really young when he got his deals, like his big breaks. So he
Yeah.
just seems older.
Well, he
Um,
first, let's see, years active 77. So yeah, he's 20 years old.
yeah. Oh, so I also found out that Aunt Maxine in the movie,
Yes.
that's actually his sister, one of the siblings he co-wrote the movie with. Um,
You could
got
tell it was
one.
his beginning of his career though, because like I said, there weren't a lot of fleshed out. There was three characters in the
No,
movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was really three characters. Yeah,
Troy going to the South kind of didn't really do anything to the to the it just kind of
yeah. It just was like a complete diversion from the plot,
that and like I just the characters in Brooklyn were way more interesting. It was like they just needed a way to get the wife sick
making without killing her on screen.
without her like deteriorating or with I mean it was just like a way to take you out of that scene so that she can get
Yeah,
sick off screen and then
right.
Troy can come back and then the movie just everything from the drive to the South afterwards feels very just not very
Like
fleshed out.
a little rushed. Yeah,
Yeah. And the movie needed about 20 more minutes. This is the first time we reviewed a movie that needed more time.
yeah. You're right. You're right.
It
Yeah.
needed about 20 more minutes. The last everything from the drive to the South, it felt like that was two scenes. She got
Hmm.
there, she's dirty, the dog died, she's back. She ran like I understand why a child would say I'm ready to go back home, but I don't know what that's not how that works. I mean, people plan the whole summer around you being down here.
Yeah.
People have paid for this.
There.
You don't just on a whim say you're going like it was very movie. But I'm
Yeah. You don't
giving
just.
one of the greatest
Yeah,
filmmakers
for
of all
sure.
time a pass.
Um. Correct. Um. Also, that soundtrack was fucking fire.
It was. It was. I
That
don't
was
recall
incredible.
any
I
song
love a good
specifics.
diverse playlist. A lot of the '70s shit. Never Can Say Goodbye.
I remember that. Yeah.
What's
La la
what's it
la
called?
la
It's
la.
gonna get it. Yeah, la la la. I love
Beats.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song. What else?
This
What are
is
the some
back
of the
when
other
you could
songs in the
license
movie?
music and no one cared.
Right.
You can just put whatever songs. No one
Yeah,
labels weren't sticklers about it, and
correct.
you know.
Um, oh yeah, so I got one last question for you.
All right.
Which sibling did you most relate to?
The ones off screen, or the nameless, faceless children. You know, not to get too emotional, but yeah,
Yeah.
when you're the Gap baby, and your oldest brother has, we'll just say, legal issues,
Hmm.
and your oldest sister is the only girl,
Hmm.
and not only that, but you're extremely self-sufficient and like the smart kid,
Hmm.
you just kind of take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I learned to cook at an early age. I learned to be home alone at an early age. I did my own homework. I played. I played. When the multiplayer video game thing took off, that just wasn't for
Yeah.
me. I always liked playing single player video games. Um, Madden franchise mode. It's funny.
Hmm.
Um, Damn near all the people I interact with on Twitter are people I met through this is very nerdy, a sports video game forum
Hmm.
where we would trade roster classes, because this is back before you could download rosters.
Right,
So
right,
we
right.
had PS2 and we would mail each other memory cards with the rosters on them. And we built, and then we would it was called Operation Sports. That was the name of the website. And we would,
Gotcha.
so it started in the NBA is back when it was NBA Live, and then the Madden
Hmm.
threads, and then we would exchange tips and tricks and this and that, because we all played offline franchise and we were like not
Yeah.
online like everyone else was.
Right.
And so that bleeds into like what we call the off-topic forum, where we would discuss non-video game stuff. I mean, and there was also
Gotcha.
like sports, regular pro sports stuff, and
Hmm.
that's where I got these all up in the area from, because that was my name there. And it led into off-topic, and then we all just got Twitters, and we've been internet friends for like 15 years now.
Yeah.
Um, shit, maybe 20. I mean, we high school. So yeah, I've been internet friends with a lot of these dudes since high school. I mean, I've seen them on Twitter go from, frat parties to first child born. Like it's
Right.
it runs deep. So yeah, so to bring it back to, that's the child I most relate to, the youngest one,
Okay.
because you're kind of off camera.
Yeah.
when you're when you're the kid that is low maintenance and low
Yeah.
low low effort, low they
Hmm.
you're kind of off camera.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just it's why I've lived that's why I don't mind living alone. So I don't mind sitting at a bar alone. It's why I don't mind going out alone. It's why I don't mind traveling alone. It's because I grew up alone.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I knew. So
Yeah.
it didn't really, in a house full of people, I was always alone. So it doesn't really,
Yeah.
it's just, so that's to answer your question. The random youngest kid that's off the camera and doesn't have any speaking lines. So
Hmm.
go for it. You?
Um, probably probably Clinton. Yeah, Clinton. He was we're both the oldest, big sports fans. Uh, you have a lot of responsibility that you didn't really ask to have or weren't in control of, you know.
How many siblings do you
Uh,
have, if you don't mind me asking?
yeah, I got three, two sisters and a brother.
Okay. Any
Um,
gaps, or all bundled together?
well, that's actually kind of the weird dynamic, not weird dynamic, the dynamic with this, because they're twins. Twins were in my family. My grandma was a twin. Um, and the twins are a year younger than me, so we're all like 14 months apart.
Yeah.
And then the baby is 7 years younger than me.
Okay. So there are
So
gaps.
yeah, so there are gaps. So the three of us, we grew up basically raised damn near as triplets. Like we went to
Yeah.
preschool together and all that stuff. But because of my birthday, I was a year. I was basically a year younger than everybody in my grade, so I was 2 grades ahead of them.
Yeah.
So as we got older, the gaps got a little more defined because I'd be in middle school and they'd be in elementary school, so on and so forth. Um, but yeah, like I mean, and even like when we all went to college at the same time, pretty much, and
Yeah.
so the baby was here pretty much by herself, so she kind of grew up a lot like you in that sense. Um, but as far as like related to Clinton, just I had like a lot of responsibilities that I didn't ask for, but that I didn't, quite frankly, didn't really want.
Yeah.
Um, I was kind of pretty rebellious, but it wasn't like in a disrespectful way. It was more so like, I mean, I was a kid, but but it
Yeah,
was like I just if I didn't want to do something, I was going to find a way to not do it for the
yeah.
most part, and I would take whatever the consequences were with that. Unlike Clinton, I'd be like, I would Clinton, I'd be like, I'm not going to do this thing, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, and I'm okay with that.
You know, I often tie it back to Clinton. I often in these movies I side with the parent because the teenager is a teenager and he doesn't see the whole world.
Right.
Making your kid miss game seven of the finals is just
No,
it's just what are you doing? Like,
that's some
dude,
unforgivable shit,
that
man.
is straight up like
That's
I would never forget that. Like
that's like damn near abuse. That's like borderline abusive. I'm not.
I mean, I just would never forget. I would never forget my dad making me
Nah,
miss. There's
yeah,
nothing more important to Clinton at that time.
nothing
Nothing.
at all,
And this is just and then to know it was the Willis Reed game.
dude.
Like he didn't know
And
that at the
like,
time, but like, oh my
yeah,
God.
and your parents know. Like, I got lucky where like my dad's a big sports fan, so I got a little leeway with like me like with chores and
Staying
stuff.
up
He'd be like,
late.
all right,
Yeah.
yeah, and also just like it'd be like, okay, you after this game is over, like you got to go do this, this, and this, cut the
Yeah.
grass, blah, blah, or whatever, like type shit. Like, so I got lucky with that. But even like I remember, like my mom's not a big sports fan, but I remember like Game 7, Cavs Warriors. She like literally called me to like watch the end of the game with her because she knew
Yeah.
how excited I was for what was about to happen. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, so thank God my parents were cool and about shit like that because I couldn't imagine if I had tickets to that game
I mean,
and
Clinton's
I had to
somewhere
go.
right now. He's 15 in the movie. This is the
Yeah,
70s, so add 50 years. He's somewhere
he's at a bar
67 years old
somewhere.
right now. Like, I missed the Willis Reed game because my daddy wanted to play piano for 12 people. It wasn't 12 people there that weren't
Dude,
related to him. And it's
I would
those
be
poor
pissed.
children. I gotta hope Delroy Lindo's character, whatever his name was,
Hmm.
got some gumption once Caroline died. But oh, his name was Woody. I'm looking at it right now.
That's right.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I think that poor Troy is just gonna be Caroline now.
Yeah.
But so my last question,
Okay.
we gotta move it along to Menace. So as a creative,
Yeah.
how do I word this? There comes a time. When do you give it up? When does Woody supposed to give this up?
You know,
It's just
that's a good question.
I just feel
I,
like there was a time
mhm.
when I don't mind people chasing their dreams.
Right.
Everyone should chase their dreams. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like I remember a time when someone sat you down and said, like you say, like, every black man has a mixtape. I have a mixtape. It'll never see the light of day. But like there's a time where your homies or your friends and your family
Yeah.
sat you down at 21, 22. Hey man, this sucks. It's never gonna happen. It's time to get a job. I just feel
Right.
like we lost that. Like I don't know what happened. Like
No, that's
I,
you're not wrong.
I just feel like we have too many content creators. We need plumbers. I just,
I think
like I just come on, man. Like I don't.
that's a
When do
good
you give it up?
question.
When he has five children, he has
Yeah.
no gainful employment. This is going nowhere. He's trying to play a piano, which might
Hmm.
as well be, a ukulele, and it's over.
Right.
And because Spike Lee is a creative, he's painting Woody in a more sympathetic light than I think
Sympathetic
Woody
light. Right.
deserves. Woody is a capital L loser. He's a man child, and um, he's derelict in his duty as a father.
Yeah.
Um, I just don't know how else to put it. Like you don't get to chase your dreams when you have five hungry children in the house and your lights are off
Correct.
and your wife is bouncing checks or you're bouncing checks
Yeah.
on your wife's behalf. And now you got an attitude because she wants a checking account because she's the only grown she needs money. Like you can't
Right. Because
back
you're not
then
buying the
bouncing a
groceries. You're
check
not cooking. You're not.
back then bouncing the check wasn't just an overdraft fee. It was a crime. Like because
Yeah. About to say
banks
people. Yeah.
didn't
You.
it wasn't electronic. So like you could bounce thousands of dollars and like they would
Yeah.
file a police report. It wasn't just $35 overdraft fee like it
Yeah.
is now.
Elvis's dad went to jail for a big chunk of his childhood for writing a bad check. Like
Yeah, I mean
that shit was real.
it's still technically a crime, but
Well,
like
yeah.
banks just gonna charge you for it. There's just too much money in it to care. But no, like if
Right.
you wrote a bad check, and like that fucking Bank of America scam that people thought, which was just check fraud.
Hmm.
It's like, no, dude, the feds will knock on your door for that, and anything over a grand, I think, is a felony. So that's
Yeah.
Bomani made a good point when Jason Kelsey broke that dude's phone, and he was
Hmm.
like, "Be careful breaking people's phones because the price point on a phone now is a felony offense. They're not phones aren't $300 anymore. Phones are
That's true.
12, $1,300, and anything over a grand is a felony. Uh, so you take a person's phone and smash it. Now, are the cops gonna pour resources into pursuing that? No, but do you want to you want those problems? You ain't got Jason
Right.
Kelsey's money. Um, what do you give the movie, man?
Um, I give it I give it 4.5 stars.
I go four. What it lacks for, I like the how you made the point of how lived in the movie was. I didn't that really hit it home it was three before,
Hmm.
but because I thought he didn't land the plane very well. The
Hmm.
whole getting back from the South. Now there's just too much in 15 minutes of screen time.
True.
But I'm gonna give him some grace because he was a brand new filmmaker. I love Spike and everything else about that first. It was what, an hour and a half, hour and 40-minute movie. The
Yeah.
first hour and
Yeah.
20 was perfect.
Flawless.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
go four stars. I love Crooklyn, man. I've seen it more. I don't even like
Yeah,
it.
that's like our family movie. I
It's
ate
it's
three
wonderful.
peas.
Yeah. Black Eyed Peas. Wonderful, wonderful movie, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
what
I
do you
got
give it?
one
You got it four
last.
and a half. So
Yeah.